you're getting comfortable with a couple of chords, the C and the E minor. Your fingers are probably starting to feel this a little bit, but completely normal. And what you'll find is if you spend even 5 minutes with this, like to begin with, playing around with these chords, then if you start to do that, after that you'll probably find 5, maybe 10 minutes, the fingers start to hurt a little bit. Well, put the guitar down, take a break, and then when you come back to it, like maybe the next day or a couple of days later, you'll find you can go a little bit longer, and you'll just start to kind of build up on the amount of time that you can comfortably play. All right, so what I want to talk about now, because you've got these two chords going, is I want to talk a little bit about changing between them, and we're going to talk a little bit about a basic strumming pattern as well that you can use. And, we're going to put some music up for this as well. Okay, but we're going to start focus first on the chord changes, and this is kind of the aspect of guitar playing that a lot of people find a little bit difficult. And I know when I started out, I had a heck of a time with it, to the point where I had one teacher that said he had time to go out for lunch while I changed chords. That was real encouraging. But we're going to try to move you along a little bit quicker than the way I was taught. And when we look at these two chords, the C chord and the E minor chord, you'll notice that there's one finger that's common between the two chords, and that's your middle finger. All right, and when you're working with any kind of chord changes, when you can have like a common finger, or at some point you might get into some changes where there's what's called like a sliding finger. When any of those things come into play, these are things that'll make the guitar playing really, the chord changes really, really easy. So when you're doing your changes between C and E minor, something that I get everybody doing at the beginning is even doing this without strumming. So we'll give the right hand like a break for a second, and what I'll do is I'll set my fingers up in the C chord and then just move over to E minor, and you notice that my middle finger is staying planted there. When I go back to C, the same thing. And when you're doing this too, you can watch your fingers. There's no rule that says you got to stare off into space or stare into a camera or something when you're doing this. You can watch what you're doing with your fingers when you're doing this, all right? And what starts to happen is the chord changes go from, thinking, okay, so I'm on E minor, and I want to go to C. I got to bring the ring finger over to here. I got to bring the index finger down to here. It becomes more of a case of, okay, I'm on E minor, let me move to C. And this is something too that I like to say to my students. This is something that you can even practice while watching TV. And you're watching a program on TV, and a commercial comes on, like the endless commercials that we deal with a lot of times. What you can do is grab your guitar, and while the commercials are going, sort of, set your fingers up in C and move into E minor. Then go back to C, and then so you're watching what your fingers are doing, and then when the program comes on, you go back to watching TV, but what you do is you keep your fingers going back and forth. And what starts to happen when you're doing that is you start to really kind of develop a muscle memory. And you'll find that these chord changes start to become really easy. All right, so that's kind of what we're doing, like a little bit with the chord changes. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about a little bit is what we're going to be doing with the strumming hand, all right? Because when you're playing just like a basic kind of a strum pattern like we're doing here, the strum pattern is going to be, it's always going to give the illusion, I like to think, that there's a percussionist playing with me, or like a rhythm section. When I'm playing the guitar on my own, it's the strumming pattern that gives the song its pulse. And I've heard a lot of performers that somehow I don't think they sort of got that concept. So it's something that I really like to go over with my students. And we talked in an earlier lesson, earlier part of a lesson, about the strumming pattern, kind of the down strums and the up strums. So I'm going to show you a simple strumming pattern now. And what we'll do is I'm going to sort of take it easy on, we'll take it easy on our left hand. We'll do this with the E minor chord, the easier chord of the two. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a pattern of down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So like 4 successions of down strums and up strums. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a couple of strums out of this. So if I break this pattern into 2 halves, what I'm going to start with, I'm going to play down, down, up. All right, now when I'm doing this, there's going to be a natural pause there because I'm playing the down strum and then I'm skipping the up strum. So there's going to be a little pause and then a down, up. All right, and you know, keeping in mind that what we talked about earlier with the down strums, I'm getting all the strings. With the up strums, I'm going to get 2, maybe 3 strings. So I've got down, down, up. Now, the second half of the pattern is going to start on an up strum. So what's going to happen is I'm going to have another pause after that first up strum I did. You know, I played down, down, up. Now I'm going to add up, down, up. So when I put that together, I've got down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. And you'll notice that what I did there when I finished the first pattern, you know, after I'd played down, down, up, down, up, I went right to the next pattern. Okay? And if you have to sort of say this to yourself as you're playing, that's fine. You know, down, down, up, down, up. I've had some people almost headbanging while they're doing this. I mean, if that works for you, great. I don't necessarily recommend it, but you know, and again, this pattern, it's something that's going to become very automatic. And when we printed the music out for you that we're going to be playing here, what you're going to find is that we're going to have, at the start of the song, we're going to have 2 patterns on a C chord. And what I'm going to do is through there, I'll do 2 measures on the C chord. And for each measure of the song, I'm going to do one of these strum patterns. So it's a really simple little pattern. So I'm going to have down, down, up, down, up. And then I'm going to do that again on the C chord. And then I'm going to go to E minor. And I'm going to do the same thing. Down, down, up, down, up. And then I'm going to play it again. You know, it sounds good. So 2 patterns on C, 2 patterns on E minor. Now, when you're doing this, you know, what I'm doing there is I'm bringing in all sort of the aspects of what we've talked about so far within these lessons. We've talked about, you know, where my fingers are going with the left hand, the placement of the thumb and everything. We've talked about with the right hand, how I'm holding the pick, the strumming pattern. You know, we've talked about the 2 chords in the left hand, the strumming pattern in the right. So when you're doing this now, you're bringing everything together. And you're going to find that for the first little bit that you're doing this, when you're changing chords, you're going to pause a little bit. You know, your hands will sort of think, oh, hang on, wait a minute, where's that next chord? It's perfectly normal. But eventually what you want to try to aim to do is just keep the right hand going. And you're going to start to force the left hand to catch up. That's going to be, you know, things that sort of as you're working on your own, you know, that's something you can kind of aim for. But, you know, for now, a really good thing to practice here is just that, playing 2 patterns on C, like this, and 2 patterns on E minor. All right, here's my second one. Now I'm going to go back again. I'm going to do it one more time. C twice, like that, and back to my E minor chord twice as well. All right, so there's some more things to kind of play around with. Now, in the next part of the lesson, I'm going to add a couple of things to what we've done here, and I'm going to get you playing through a whole song. All right?